This is lesson 228, if you want to open up your book to that. Great lesson, very, very simple. I wanted to bring this lesson up tonight because of the section we are on in the text where we're talking about special and holy relationships. And what the Course is telling us is, I think we get caught up in our ideas of what these are, what our relationships are. This idea, somebody was saying last week in our meeting, let me see if I can find that little comment. They said, why are relationships so tough? You know, I think I was talking about that. Actually, it was one of our viewers, our subscribers, who placed it on the little chat board as the question, why are relationships so hard? And I thought about that later. You know, the answer certainly is because it is in our relationships that we find God. It is in our relationships we find out who we are. But relationships are the underpinnings of the illusion of the ego, too. Meaning the ego keeps its validity in our minds through the relationships, and certainly through the problem relationships. It's hard to find peace when our relationships are causing us pain and suffering. It's hard to find peace when our boss is yelling at us. It's hard to find peace when we're not making the money we want to make. It's hard to find peace when we turn on the news. You know, so these become the underpinnings that pull us back to what we think is our reality, which is a world of separation and a world of attack. So juxtapose that with what the Course offers us. A beautiful workbook lesson like this. That God has condemned me not, no more do I. That sounds like a really nice little thought. But do we get what that's saying? You know, he is not judging all these people that we have legitimate judgments about, and people would stand behind us and say, you are right, that's a terrible person, and we need to hold on to that judgment. And God is saying, I have judged them not, and you judging them does not bring you peace. Now you have to decide, do you want the peace of God or not? Look at Jesus. Go back to the life of Jesus. He didn't have a great life. If you were to look at it, he had 12 lousy friends, right? Not good friends, not great friendships. He didn't choose well. And the rest of his life was kind of tough. You know, not an easy life for this guy. And yet all along he would say, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. He was asked how many times should you forgive, and he said, forgive 70 times 7, and that's just not 490 times. That's an infinite number of times. It's hard for us. And we go, yeah, but I'm not Jesus. And we'd say, well, thank God you're not, right? Do you really want that life? What we want, though, is he took a very extreme example to show you that even in the most extreme examples of life, you can know that God has condemned you not, no more do you have to condemn yourself or others. And that the pathway to peace is, as the Course would say, through forgiveness here. That's challenging. That's very challenging for us. Look at that first statement. It says, my Father knows my holiness. Okay, when I say my Father knows my holiness, what do you think about that? Does that make sense? It does? Really? What does that mean to you when you say my Father knows my holiness? What does he know about you? We talked about this last week when we did this beautiful workbook lesson that said, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. And we did this very guided meditation. Do you remember that? Powerful meditation about going through what? What did it say we would go through? Clouds. Right. We'd go through clouds. And the clouds represented in our minds all of the darkness, the judgments, perhaps the condemning thoughts we have about ourselves, all the stuff that you're not brave enough to tell anybody about you, but you know. But what the Course is always saying is that seems to block the light that really is the truth in you. And so we're asked to go through that darkness to the light that really is who we are, but we think we're standing outside of it. We don't think we are entitled to it. And yet what is this book about? It's a course in miracles. And it says we are entitled to. Right. And miracles are what, according to the Course, but a shift in our perception that puts us back in proper alignment. Have you ever had your car out of alignment? When your car's out of alignment, what happens to your car? It shakes, the tires wear faster, all sorts of things can happen if your car's out of, I never knew this, by the way. Never knew what a damaging effect, all the men are going, really? How dumb. I never knew the damaging effects that could happen if your car was out of alignment. That was not my job. That was not my job. But I have learned now since then, all the things that can happen. The car can shake. It's hard to steer, right? It's hard to keep centered. You can feel it. My dad used to say, take your hand off the wheel, which didn't make sense to me, but you can feel a car, moving. You start to look at your tires. I'm so smart now. You start to look at your tires and you see how your tires are wearing funny because a car is out of alignment. The same thing is true for us. This is metaphorical for us. When we're out of alignment, when we do not know the truth of our being, which was the good news that Jesus came to bring, when we do not know that, we're out of alignment. All this stuff begins to happen. We buy into the world, as the Course would say, of violence and death when we do not know who we are, when we do not know why we are here. The Course tells us we're here to heal the Son of God. That's the only reason we're here. And if we use this world where we seem to abide for a while for not its real purpose, we buy into the laws of violence and death. We're going to shake. We're going to wear in funny ways. Things aren't going to work together. So that's what it's telling us is the result of this. And yet, all along, God knows my holiness.